This video is brought to you by AccraGhana.com, a website and project dedicated to the vibrant capital city of Ghana, Greater Accra, located on the west coast of Africa at the Gulf of Guinea.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a huge paradox in West Africa, looking at Ghana's gold mining industry. It is a story of just incredible wealth, but also absolutely devastating consequences. So let's get right into it.
Okay, right off the bat, this is the big question that hangs over everything. Ghana, a country literally once called the Gold Coast, is now the #1 gold producer on the entire African continent. So with all that treasure being pulled out of the ground, where's all the money going?
To really set the scene, the source material we're digging into today frames the whole problem with this incredible analogy. It paints this picture of something loud, impossible to ignore, that just sucks up all the resources and somehow leaves everyone else a whole lot poorer. It really gives you a sense of the complicated mess we're about to unpack.
All right, so let's start with the heart of this paradox, because this isn't a new problem, not by a long shot. Ever since the Portuguese first showed up way back in the 15th century, gold has been both Ghana's greatest blessing and, well, its deepest curse.
And look, the scale here is just massive. We are not talking about some small-time operation. Ghana has blown past historical giants like South Africa to become the top gold producer on the continent. That one fact makes that central question, where's the money, feel even more urgent.
So, what do people on the ground say? Where's the money? Well, the source gives us this pretty cynical but, very telling answer. It suggests the wealth isn't building schools or paving roads, but instead, it's just ending up as bling for the politically connected.
Now, to get our heads around how this all works, the source breaks the industry down into two completely different worlds. You've got the small-scale local miners on one side, and the huge multinational corporations, the so-called big men, on the other.
So on one side, you have what are known locally as Galamsey miners. These are artisanal miners. And on the other side, you have the big men, the large, often foreign-owned companies. The source paints a picture of them operating in totally different universes, but both somehow leading to the same outcome.
First, let's talk about the Galamsey. The article describes them as folks digging holes out in the bush, risking their lives every single day from collapsing pits. They're often publicly shamed, even chased by the military. But, and this is the real kicker, the source alleges they are secretly backed by the very same politicians who own the land rights. And then, on the complete flip side, you've got the multinationals. They're working with massive machinery from cool, air-conditioned offices, and they have the full blessing of the government. The piece says they pull out billions of dollars, leave behind toxic pits, and then, for a little good PR, they might donate a single water well and wait for the applause.
So all this activity, it comes at a price. And that price is absolutely staggering. The environmental and human cost as laid out in the article is almost hard to comprehend.
To really show you the level of water pollution, the source doesn't just throw scientific terms at you. No, it uses this really visceral, local metaphor that is, frankly, shocking. It's to describe what has happened to rivers that were once clean and clear.
Yeah, fufu with Milo. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, fufu is a thick, starchy staple food, kind of like a dough ball. And Milo is a chocolate drink. So the image this creates is of rivers that aren't even flowing water anymore, but are more like a thick, brown, undrinkable sludge. It's a powerful image.
And of course, that polluted water has direct, just tragic consequences for people. The source connects the mercury and cyanide used in mining to this terrifying list of health crises in nearby communities. We're talking kidney failure, birth defects, and all sorts of mysterious skin diseases.
So you have to ask, right? How on earth is this allowed to happen on such a massive scale? Well, the source points its finger directly at the political system, which it claims doesn't just enable this cycle, but actually profits from it.
The source introduces this really key term, campaign ATM. The idea here is that illegal mining isn't just overlooked. It's allegedly used as a secret, off-the-books cash machine to fund political campaigns. That creates a really powerful reason to just look the other way.
And this alleged system of complicity, it runs deep. The article describes local chiefs getting envelopes of cash to sign away community land. It talks about politicians signing these sweetheart deals with foreign companies. And then, in the final ironic twist, the official government story blames the poorest villagers for all the destruction.
Okay, let's peel back one final layer here and look at what the source calls the true human cost. It argues this isn't just about money or the environment. It's about how this industry is actively eating the future of the entire nation.
The human toll is just laid out in these stark, heartbreaking terms. Young men die in collapsed pits. their deaths barely making the news. Women in these mining towns feel they have few options left but to enter the sex trade or just leave home altogether. And maybe most tragically, you have kids dropping out of school to sift through sand, just hoping to find a few tiny specks of gold.
The source sums up this entire political cycle as an ironic joke, like an election year playbook. Step 1, ignore the problem. Step 2, make deals that benefit you and your friends. And step 3, after all that, go back to the very people whose lives and futures you're damaging and ask for their votes with cheap handouts like t-shirts and some food.
And the difference is just so stark. According to the source, you can see the gold wealth in the Bentleys cruising through fancy neighborhoods in Accra, like East Legon. But what that money isn't doing is buying basic things like textbooks for school kids in poorer regions like Bolgatanga.
And all of this, it leads us to one final, really haunting question. And it's not about the price per ounce on the stock market. No, it's about the total cost to the land, to the water, and to the people of Ghana.
The source concludes with this one thought. The gold glitters, yes, but that glitter has blinded everyone to the poison that it claims is slowly seeping into everything: the soil, the water, the politics, and into the lives of children. A really sobering thought to end on.
This video is brought to you by AccraGhana.com, a website and project dedicated to the vibrant capital city of Ghana, Greater Accra, located on the west coast of Africa at the Gulf of Guinea.